Distillation is a method used to purify substances. The most common use for distillation is the purification of water, but you can use the process for many other mixtures. In order to distill successfully, you will need to know the boiling point of your pure substance and be familiar with your materials. Some materials that you might not be familiar with may include some things like distillation flask, two-way clamps, condenser clamps, thermometer with rubber stopper, and a condenser. The setup for distillation is probably no more complicated than what you are used to, but does require two people. At the top of the condenser, you will have a distillation flask with a sidearm coming off of it. It will eventually be connected to the condenser with a cork stopper. First, drop in a few boil easers or boiling stones. Then, pour the mixture into the flask. You should tilt it so that the impure substance does not enter the sidearm of the flask while it's being filled or refilled. The process of using boiling stones is so that the mixture boils evenly and without bumping. It keeps the boiling neat and consistent. The flask will be sealed with a rubber stopper that has a thermometer through the center. Make sure that the bulb of your thermometer is in line with the sidearm of the flask. The flask will be resting on an iron ring that is connected to a ring stand with wire gauze on top of it. For extra support, the flask will also be clamped to the ring stand with a single burette clamp. Underneath the flask, there will be a Bunsen burner. The burner will be used to heat the flask and what's inside of it. If you are distilling flammable or volatile substances, you may want to use a hot plate or a heating mantle. The condenser will be connected to a ring stand using a two-way clamp and a condenser clamp. It's easier to attach the condenser to an already set up distillation flask because getting the angles right could be a bit tricky. If the angles aren't right, you run the risk of accidentally breaking the sidearm off of your flask. At ends of the condenser, there will be an inlet and an outlet. Rubber tubing will connect the inlet to a water source, preferably a faucet, and rubber tubing will also connect the outlet to a drain, preferably a drain in a sink. The water should always go in the bottom and out the top. You do this so that the condenser completely fills with water. This enables the substance being purified to condense back into a liquid, hence the name condenser. At the end of the condenser, there will be a collection vessel of some sort. We are using a beaker that has been cleaned with distilled water. To select a vessel, you should take into consideration if the vessel will contaminate the purified substance or if you will need to transfer the substance into another container and such. Pick the vessel that is right for your needs. The substance being distilled will slowly drip out of the bottom end of the condenser into the collection vessel. When you are setting up your condenser, think about your collection vessel. If you have a tall collection vessel, you should make sure that the bottom of your condenser is higher off the table than just a few inches. To actually begin distilling, make sure all of your hose connections are tight and clamps are secure. Begin water flow slowly through the condenser. Remember, water takes a lot of energy to heat up, so you only need a slow flow rate. Once the condenser is full, light the Bunsen burner and put it under the distillation flask. Soon the mixture will start to boil. Now this is important. Whatever substance has the lowest boiling point will come out of the mixture first. You must read the thermometer to ensure that what you are collecting is a pure substance you desire. If the temperature is off, collect the distillate in another container and dispose of properly. Remember, you never want to entirely boil a substance away. If the flask runs low on the mixture, you may simply stop heating and add more via a funnel or by tilting the flask. The sidearm of the flask is the most fragile piece of this setup. Be careful not to break this and never hold the flask by the sidearm. When done, allow the apparatus to cool. Keep the condenser running a few minutes after you shut off the heat. When emptying out the flask, be sure to collect and rinse the boil easers. They are reusable. Be sure to put away and store everything properly. Don't place your distillate in a place where it can get recontaminated with anything else.